Simple graphs. What is a graph? A graph is a way of showing numbers and relationships as a picture. There are different ways of drawing a graph, but all graphs are used to compare numbers together in one place so that they are easy to see. They help you to understand how much bigger or smaller one number is compared to another. You are given information with a graph. It's like a code breaker. A graph can help you see the relationships between numbers and what they mean. This graph is called a pie chart. It is like a cake chopped up into different sized portions. This graph is called a bar graph or bar chart, where each number is shown as a colored bar standing on a line, and usually the bars are all different colors. And this graph is called a line graph. This kind of graph shows numbers growing or falling in a single line, which ends up either as a pointy line like this, or it can be drawn as a curve. Let's take a look at some examples of how you would use a graph. Nancy is sitting on her desk and sorting her exercise books. She has many exercise books in 3 different colors: red, yellow, and green. She has 4 red, 6 green, and 2 yellow exercise books. Let's look at how we can show these numbers in a graph. This is what Nancy's collection of exercise books looks like as a bar chart or a bar graph. The information to help you understand the chart is written on the axes. The vertical axis shows the number of books from 0 upwards, and the horizontal axis shows which color exercise books each bar refers to. You can see that there are 4 red exercise books, 2 yellow, and 6 green. This helps Nancy to see clearly which color exercise book she has more of. The green exercise books, which she has fewer of. The yellow exercise books. Nancy could show her exercise books using a different kind of graph. A pie chart. This is a very simple tool that shows the total as a circle and how it is divided up into sections that, in this example, represent each color of exercise book. It's another easy way to see how many more she has of one color exercise book compared to another. Let's try drawing another type of graph, a line graph. The weather forecaster has been keeping a record of the temperatures this week. On Sunday, it was 30 degrees Celsius. On Monday, it fell to 25 degrees Celsius. Then on Tuesday, it went up to 32 degrees Celsius. On Wednesday, it stayed the same, 32 degrees Celsius. And on Thursday, it went higher to 35 degrees Celsius. On Friday, it cooled down again to 31 degrees Celsius, and by Saturday, it was back to where the week started at 30 degrees Celsius. Now let's help Mustafa organize these shapes into categories of triangles, rectangles, squares, and pentagons. We have 5 rectangles, 7 triangles, 6 squares, and 4 pentagons. We can represent these findings using a bar chart or bar graph. We have 7 triangles, 5 rectangles, 6 squares, and 4 pentagons. Once again, all this information is shown clearly in a clear bar chart. We can see that triangles are the biggest number, followed by squares, rectangles, and lastly, pentagons. Graphs help us represent a large amount of information simply. Now, what if Mustafa wants to organize the shapes he has according to their colors? Let's see. This time, we group them based on their color and their color alone. Turns out we have 8 blue shapes, 7 red, 2 yellow, and 5 green. Let's represent this information using a graph. We'll use a bar chart as we did before, only this time the grouping is by color and not by shape. We have 8 blue shapes, 7 red, 2 yellow, and 5 green. We can clearly see that Mustafa has the most number of blue shapes, while he has the least number of yellow shapes. Graphs are cool like that. We are able to know a lot by looking at the quantities in a different way, instead of just reading numbers. This kind of information would also suit a pie chart, and here is what it would look like. You can make the colors of the pie match the colors of the shape to make it easier to understand. Graphs are a very useful tool when comparing or grouping different categories of items. Scientists and mathematicians, bankers and engineers all use graphs to display information to share with their teams. There's such a great way to capture a lot of information and represent it all in one image. Now let's recap. Graphs are drawings that we use to help us represent a lot of information in a clear way. We can see connections and relationships between numbers or things in an instant, rather than having to read lots of numbers or information and work it out in our heads. Graphs come in different styles. Nancy could compare the numbers of her different colored exercise books with a pie chart. Mustafa categorized his shapes by shape first, then by color. Using a bar chart, he was able to clearly see the different amounts of his different shapes. And the weather forecaster could understand the range of temperatures across a week using a line graph. What kind of information would be useful to you to plot on a handy graph?